was remarkable. I'm trying to remember the progress of it. So the thing is, I'm gonna have really deep insights into the T question, right? That they are getting closer to us, but you have to account for human technology and why they are actually finally approaching us is because of AI and to a big extent the Internet of Things. It's all a connected system, right? So because we made AI, it grew them closer to us, and they can actually use AI. That's the strangest part. Aliens can use AI, I believe. I really do believe that. So in Escondido, they were fixing the highways, and it was suddenly so much darker. It was like 1/3 darker. It's really beautiful. I'm trying to remember what happened, what days this was. So this was like in May. I remember. I don't know what creature I saw like a month later, but it was so strange. It was like right at the start of the conflict in Iran. It was like a weird vibe driving back up by the military bases and shit, right? But I remember in like April or May seeing these triangles in the sky right as I brought up the idea about blue noise. Oh man, I have to get into this. This is such a difficult story. Researching blue noise and the idea about beaming things into people's heads. It sounds insane, but I just recently saw a video. This is what inspired me, that this thing about noise cancellation was somehow a big part of the government ET connection. And noise cancellation has to do with it, kind of the idea. It's like the opposite of beaming things into people's heads. You're gonna be like, what are you fucking talking about? But it was so strange because when I brought it up, I saw these triangles in the sky. I'll stop later, once again.
So yeah, this is part 1 in trying to formulate a good tale. So yeah, unfortunately a lot of my files were missing that I thought, and I absolutely knew I wanted to save that one because it was so hilarious, so weird. I'm like, yeah, if you think about it in physics, blue noise, and then all of a sudden these little shapes come out from the clouds, these little triangles, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck? And I was laughing. I'm like, oh my god, what? And I'm like, and they like float away behind clouds because it was kind of cloudy, but it was in the middle of the broad daylight, like at 4 p.m. And I was like, and I was so sleep deprived, but I knew I saved these files. It was 2 files. One of them singing Bob Dylan, Idiot Wind, and I sing it for like 2 minutes, and then I stop. I've been in my front yard drinking alcohol after I got back from the store. I'm really tired, and I probably had the dates wrong, but it's something like that. It has to be before May and after March. And a lot of my files on the drive, the computer, the phone, are all missing the audio files from that era. I mean, it's not impossible because there were so many things saved and deleted and stuff, like trash shit, but I knew I saved that one because I was like, I would love that shit. Or rather, the phone had been dropped so many times in the last year. It's not impossible, but it's weird. Like my drive, it should still be there at least. I don't know, it's just so strange. But it's so funny too, coincidentally, because it's not a video, it's just an audio log rambling and strange. So yeah, and it was so confounding. My mother had been talking to me recently. I think it was around Easter exactly is when this time was. She talked about something about how the symbol, Carl Jung talks about it, how the UFO is like a religious symbol of God in modern time. The symbol of it appearing to people. And it kind of is, that if you talk about just it being straight away stories of strange events, right? But I had that on my mind. And it was so weird. Exactly what I'm like. So blue noise, it's not in physics. It just has to do with like a vibrational level that, and I get cut off by seeing them. I'm like, what? But again, we'll just make this short. I'm looking towards these mountains in Escondido at 4 p.m. on a slightly cloudy day, and the sun's out maybe a little bit later, and they look like these two white triangles. They kind of look like they were closer, like it could be a drone, right? That's what the best example was. And then additionally, on the ridge, I saw like a little light, like a flashlight. But the idea to see a light during that kind of daytime was kind of weird. And then the objects too. And yeah, it's hard to remember. I think this is not too long after St. Patrick's Day, where I tried to drink myself to death or whatever, not to be too heavy. And then I had those two really good vlogs about it, like chronologically what I think is happening, about ufology or whatever. But I saw them, and it's so, I hate to get all huffy about it, but then the thing about the files are missing, not just those specifically, but about 3 months are like gone on different things. It's strange, but I a couple years ago I had an interesting thought about it relating to like the 2012 thing. It has to do with like computer glitches and stuff, just because of the way that the modern technology keeps everything in sync and in a notational kind of way, just on a mathematical level about time, right? And like the thing is, if they don't sync up right, it could cause issues. But I have so much Philip K. Dick on my mind right now, who had said that the people, government agents had snuck into his house and like fucked with the shit. Um, just last night I was listening to something about this talk in France he gave, and but it's interesting in his talk as well. He talks about a similar kind of idea that there are like parallel realities happening all the time. It was before quantum physics was a big thing. 20 years later, 30 years later, and yeah, it's just so strange. I was getting genuinely upset for like about a half hour, not up crying, but just like, what? Because they should be there. I think I could still find them, but very strange. So weird. I just knew I loved it because at that time I had not been doing a lot of audio vlogs to myself. I was mostly doing the musical thing because I'm like, oh, okay, I be by myself, I can focus on music. And I stopped kind of doing the YouTube long form videos about the subject. And I just remember getting to Escondido and started thinking about the history of satellites and the UFO issue. How it's like, well, I came to the idea that maybe satellites itself, television itself, stopped the UFOs from like fully reaching us. And I was kind of just worried about living in Escondido alone. And yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. It's very strange. Anyways, yeah. Best way, I guess, is to pair these two. And it's best. Take care, everybody.